Have you ever wondered why stories set on the open sea feel more suffocating than those in trenches? Maybe it's because, out there, steel and salt water decide who breathes next. The Second World War didn't just change the world, it redefined survival beneath the waves and above the decks. And while Part 1 gave you the legends, these next 15 push deeper into forgotten corners, overlooked classics, and a few unexpected modern revivals. Let's dive in. Number 15. U-571, 2000. This isn't your grandfather's submarine film, though it tries hard to look like one. U-571 follows an American crew on a dangerous mission to capture a German code machine from a sinking sub. It's pure tension, tight steel corridors, and sweat-soaked suspense. Matthew McConaughey leads a cast that includes Harvey Keitel, each actor drenched in oil, fear, and realism. What makes U-571 unforgettable is how it blends Hollywood spectacle with technical authenticity. Director Jonathan Mostow insisted the sub sets be fully functional. Valves turned, alarms screamed, and the camera crew worked in narrow passages barely wider than a man's shoulders. The sound design alone makes you flinch every rivet, and echo turns the submarine into a haunted metal lung. But controversy followed. The movie was criticized in Britain for implying the Americans captured the real Enigma device, a mission historically done by the Royal Navy. Despite the backlash, it became a box office success, grossing over $100 million and winning an Oscar for sound editing. Love it or hate it, U-571 remains a masterclass in high-pressure storytelling. Beneath its Hollywood gloss lies something rare, a film that captures how easily bravery can turn into panic when there's no surface left to reach. Number 14. The Bedford Incident, 1965. Before Cold War paranoia hit full throttle, this film showed what it looked like when wartime instincts refused to die. The Bedford Incident stars Richard Widmark as a destroyer captain who's wound tighter than a torpedo spring, patrolling icy northern waters with obsessive precision. When a nervous officer mistakes his rage for an order to attack, the result is a slow-motion disaster you can't look away from. Director James B. Harris, once Stanley Kubrick's producing partner, brought a documentary chill to the script. The ship's bridge feels like a coffin lit by radar glow. The film never fires a single glamorous broadside. Instead, it studies pressure, command, and human error. Sidney Poitier's presence as a civilian journalist adds another layer, an outsider watching military pride collapse under its own discipline. The ending, let's just say it's the kind that leaves theaters silent. No hero speeches, no medals, just consequence. Many real naval officers later admitted that the film's psychological accuracy, the tension between vigilance and madness, was painfully familiar. The Bedford Incident might not have explosions every 5 minutes, but its detonations are emotional, and they echo long after the credits. It's not about war, it's about the minds that never left it. Number 13. Battle of the River Plate, 1956. If most war films focus on chaos, this one celebrates calculation. Directed by Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger, the duo behind the Red Shoes Battle of the River Plate dramatizes the true 1939 chase of the German pocket battleship Graf Spee. It's part chess match, part cat-and-mouse pursuit across the South Atlantic. Shot in rich Technicolor, it's among the most polished British naval films ever made. Real Royal Navy ships stood in for their historical counterparts, giving the movie a tactile, thunderous realism. There's a measured rhythm to it, no frantic editing, no screaming chaos. Instead, it feels like watching a grand maritime ballet, where strategy is more lethal than firepower. The film's restrained tone matched post-war Britain's mood, proud but haunted. Critics hailed it as diplomatic warfare at sea because it avoids demonizing the German captain, played with tragic nobility by Peter Finch. The climax in Montevideo, the scuttling of the Graf Spee, is both triumphant and oddly mournful, captured through real footage of the burning ship. Powell later said the goal was to show how logic, not rage, wins wars. Battle of the River Plate delivers exactly that: a cerebral naval drama that proves intelligence can be as cinematic as any cannon blast. Number 12. The Bridges at Toko Ri, 1954. Technically set during the Korean conflict, The Bridges at Tokyo-ri is steeped in the spirit of World War II. The aircraft carriers, the pilots, the dread of one more mission, all echo the trauma of a generation that never really came home. William Holden plays a lawyer-turned-fighter pilot reluctantly called back to duty. His wife, played by Grace Kelly, represents the quiet heartbreak of every family left behind. But the real star here is the depiction of carrier life. The flight deck sequences, filmed aboard real U.S. Navy ships, still hold up today, jet engines roaring like trapped thunder, pilots walking toward danger in perfect calm. Director Mark Robson avoided flag-waving. Instead, he asked a harder question. Why do we keep sending the same men to fight the same wars? The film's closing moments are devastatingly simple. No slow motion, no swelling music, just human beings swallowed by the fog of duty. Audiences in the 1950s didn't expect such emotional honesty. Yet, it became a quiet classic, winning an Academy Award for special effects and earning critical respect for its sincerity. The Bridges at Tokyo-ri isn't about victory, it's about fatigue, about how even heroes can grow tired of surviving. Number 11. Below. 2002. What happens when you lock fear, guilt, and superstition inside a World War II submarine? Below answers that with a whisper. Then, a scream. This supernatural naval thriller, produced by Darren Aronofsky, mixes haunted house chills with authentic undersea tension. Set aboard the USS Tiger Shark in 1943, it starts like a standard patrol mission, until strange events unsettle the crew. Lights flicker, voices echo through steel walls, and paranoia spreads faster than smoke. But instead of cheap jump scares, director David Twohy plays it smart. Every supernatural moment could also be human guilt. The ghosts may not be dead men, but bad decisions resurfacing. The submarine set was fully enclosed, and actors had to crawl through real watertight compartments. The claustrophobia you feel isn't camera trickery, it's oxygen deprivation captured on film. Critics called it Das Boot meets The Sixth Sense. And that's accurate. Yet beneath its genre blend lies a surprisingly respectful depiction of naval duty, with dialogue built from actual wartime slang and rituals. The movie didn't make much money on release, but it's aged beautifully, a cult favorite for viewers who like their war stories laced with mystery. Below reminds us that not every ghost wears chains. Some wear uniforms. Number 10. Hell and High Water, 1954. Before nuclear paranoia dominated Cold War cinema, Hell and High Water brought it to the ocean floor. Starring Gregory Peck as a stoic ex-submarine commander, the film tells of a secret mission to stop an enemy plan involving atomic sabotage. But this isn't science fiction. It's a gritty thriller grounded in post-war realism, shot in vivid cinemascope that made every drop of seawater shimmer with menace. Director Samuel Fuller, a veteran himself, gave the film a pulsing moral tension. He wanted audiences to feel the unease of a world still licking its wounds while already preparing for the next fight. Peck's performance captures that unease perfectly. He's disciplined but hollow-eyed, a soldier without a war, searching for meaning in the shadow of total destruction. The film's submarine sequences were revolutionary for their time. Fuller filmed with practical effects, using real compressed air blasts to simulate underwater pressure changes. Cast and crew often describe the set as a pressure cooker that never cooled down. Unlike the patriotic tone of earlier war pictures, Hell and High Water questions the cost of endless vigilance, the idea that peace itself can feel like another mission. Critics in the 1950s were divided. Some called it melodramatic. Others praised its rare blend of pulp adventure and political dread. But today, it stands as one of Fuller's most underrated works, a film that turned submarine corridors into the echo chamber of a paranoid age. Number 9. Corvette K-225, 1943. Made while the real war still raged, Corvette K-225 captures the raw immediacy of duty. Starring Randolph Scott as a Royal Canadian Navy officer escorting convoys across the Atlantic, it's less about grand victories and more about endurance men versus the ocean, fatigue, and invisible enemies below the waves. Produced by Howard Hawks and directed by Richard Rawson, The film was one of Hollywood's earliest tributes to Canada's crucial convoy service. To maintain authenticity, the Royal Canadian Navy provided real corvettes, and several scenes were shot in stormy North Atlantic conditions. The resulting footage is breathtaking: water slamming against decks, men drenched to the bone, dialogue shouted through wind. Its moral center lies in its simplicity. Heroism isn't about glory, but showing up again tomorrow. The film doesn't sanitize loss or fear. In fact, its most memorable sequence shows the crew discovering the aftermath of a torpedoed ship debris. Oil, silence. The restraint makes it more haunting than a dozen battle scenes. Released in 1943, Corvette K2-125 resonated deeply with wartime audiences. Critics praised its blend of realism and quiet dignity, and the U.S. Navy even used it for morale screenings. Decades later, it remains a striking reminder that before Hollywood perfected naval spectacle, filmmakers told stories powered not by explosions, but by resolve. Number 8. Mr. Roberts, 1955. Every naval film before Mr. Roberts celebrated command. This one celebrated the people stuck obeying it. Starring Henry Fonda, James Cagney, and Jack Lemmon, it's a rare war comedy that hides tragedy in plain sight. Set aboard a dull supply ship far from battle, it follows Lieutenant Roberts, a man desperate to trade paperwork for combat, while his crew just wants a taste of normal life. What makes Mr. Roberts timeless is its honesty about boredom, pettiness, and moral fatigue. Director John Ford began the film, but after clashing with Fonda, he was replaced by Mervyn LeRoy, a change that somehow gave the movie two distinct tones: Ford's melancholic realism and Leroy's Broadway rhythm. Lemon's performance as the mischievous Ensign Pulver earned him an Oscar and turned him into a household name. Behind the laughs lies a surprisingly dark message. Even away from the front, war erodes the human spirit. The ship's victories, stealing fruit, defying a petty captain, become metaphors for freedom and confinement. The movie's ending, quiet and devastating, catches viewers off guard, reminding them that humor is just another survival tactic. Audiences adored it. Veterans recognized the truth behind the jokes: the endless routine, the absurd hierarchy, the longing for relevance. Mr. Roberts may not feature torpedoes or fleet battles, but it delivers something rarer: the emotional truth of life spent waiting for orders that never come. Number 7. The Sea Chase, 1955. It's strange seeing John Wayne playing a German captain, but that's what gives The Sea Chase its edge. Directed by John Farrow, the film follows Captain Karl Ehrlich, a German merchant skipper, trying to evade Allied pursuit at the outbreak of war. There are no grand battles here, just a grim maritime cat and mouse across dangerous waters. Ehrlich isn't a villain, and that's the point. He's a seaman, not a soldier, trying to protect his crew while his government collapses into chaos. Lana Turner co-stars as a mysterious passenger whose loyalties shift with every storm. Shot in Technicolor against real ocean backdrops, the film turns survival into suspense, with nature itself acting as the deadliest adversary. Critics were divided over casting Wayne as a German, but his rugged stoicism worked. He played the role not as a patriot, but as a man tired of orders from any flag. Farrow's direction gave the movie a noir tone: heavy shadows, moral grayness, and moments of uneasy silence where conscience and duty clash. When released, The Sea Chase was overshadowed by bigger budget war spectacles, but time has treated it kindly. It's one of the few Hollywood war films that humanized the other side without apology. Watching it today feels almost rebellious, a reminder that decency can survive even under the wrong flag. Number 6. We Dive at Dawn, 1943. Before The Cruel Sea or Das Boot, there was this, the blueprint for every submarine drama that followed. We Dive at Dawn tells the story of HMS Sea Tiger, a British sub sent to sink a German battleship, then forced into a desperate escape. Released during the war, it carried an eerie realism born from immediacy. Director Anthony Asquith worked closely with the Royal Navy, using real submarines and serving sailors as extras. The film captures life aboard a sub with astonishing detail: the stale air, the cramped sleeping quarters, the mechanical rhythm of survival. But its power lies in its restraint. The men joke, argue, and worry about home, not heroism. Their war is more about endurance than glory. The dialogue feels authentic because much of it came from naval transcripts. There's no grand speech, no overblown music, just human voices echoing through metal. The climactic sequence, where the crew must slip silently past enemy destroyers, builds unbearable tension without showing a single explosion. Critics hailed it as one of Britain's most grounded war dramas. Audiences at the time wept not for patriotism, but for recognition these were their sons, brothers, and neighbors. We Dive at Dawn endures because it replaced propaganda with perspective, showing that courage isn't loud, it's quiet, tired, and often unseen. Number 5. Operation Pacific, 1951. You wouldn't expect a John Wayne film to be quiet, but Operation Pacific surprises you. Directed by George Wagner, it follows Duke Gifford, a submarine officer fighting through the Pacific Campaign, while juggling loss, duty, and a fractured marriage. On the surface, it's a straightforward adventure film, but below, it's an emotional reckoning with what endless warfare does to ordinary people. The production worked closely with the U.S. Navy, filming aboard real submarines and including actual combat footage. It gave audiences of the early 1950s their first real glimpse of how claustrophobic submarine life could be. Wayne delivers a restrained performance here, less cowboy swagger, more weary commander shouldering the weight of lives. One standout moment involves a torpedo malfunction during a tense pursuit, forcing the crew to make an impossible decision. The scene is staged with documentary precision, and you can feel the anxiety rising with every creak of steel. Critics at the time praised its realism, with the New York Times calling it a tough, salty tribute to those who fight without fanfare. Operation Pacific was a box office success, but more importantly, it captured the dignity of service without the propaganda gloss. The film understood that heroism isn't loud. It's quiet, lonely, and heavy. It's a war story that values silence over spectacle, and that's why it endures. Number 4. Morning Departure, 1950. If you ever want to understand the difference between courage and hope, Morning Departure will show you. This haunting British drama begins with routine naval exercises and ends with a crew trapped at the bottom of the sea. Based on a stage play by Kenneth Woolard, it stars John Mills as the captain of HMS Trojan, whose submarine is accidentally sunk during peacetime trials. What follows isn't a battle, but a waiting game against time, oxygen, and fear. The story unfolds in agonizing stillness, whispered plans, the hiss of leaking air, the slow realization that rescue may never come. Director Roy Ward Baker used tight close-ups and harsh lighting to make the submarine feel like a coffin. The effect is suffocating and beautiful at once. The production was praised for its restraint. There are no villains, no melodrama, just human endurance. Mills gives one of his finest performances, portraying leadership not as bravado, but as calm in despair. When the film premiered in post-war Britain, many veterans called it the truest depiction of naval life ever put to film. Though not widely known today, Morning Departure remains a quiet masterpiece, a film that turns the horror of isolation into something profoundly human. Its message is timeless. Sometimes, survival isn't about escape. It's about dignity when the lights go out. Number 3. The Silent Enemy, 1958. Before James Bond dove beneath the waves, there was Lieutenant Lionel Buster Crabbe, the real-life British diver who inspired him. The Silent Enemy, starring Lawrence Harvey, tells Crabbe's incredible story as he leads underwater commandos against Italian frogmen in Gibraltar during the war. The film's tone is far from pulp adventure. Director William Fairchild aimed for documentary accuracy, consulting actual Royal Navy divers who'd fought in the same operations. The underwater sequences, filmed with groundbreaking camera rigs, were unlike anything audiences had seen in the 1950s. Eerie, slow-motion duels fought in total silence beneath the surface. What makes the film special is its portrayal of courage without glamour. Crabbe isn't a swaggering action hero. He's a methodical professional who risks everything in an invisible war. The movie's realism impressed veterans, but terrified censors, who feared it revealed too much about British naval methods. When Crabbe mysteriously vanished in real life during a Cold War mission years later, the film took on an even stranger afterlife. Viewers rewatched it, searching for clues. Today, The Silent Enemy stands as both thrilling cinema and historical record proof that real bravery often happens where no one can see it. Number 2. Above Us, The Waves. 1955. In Above Us, The Waves, 3 miniature submarines attempt an impossible mission to sink the German battleship Tirpitz, hiding deep in a Norwegian fjord. Based on actual events, it's one of the most nail-biting naval dramas Britain ever produced. John Mills, again, proving he was born for the sea, stars as Lieutenant Commander Fraser, leading the audacious operation. Director Ralph Thomas used real Royal Navy vessels, elaborate scale models, and tight, shadowy interiors to convey the tension of underwater infiltration. The sound design, creaking metal, dripping condensation, the muffled thrum of engines turns every minute into suspense. Unlike Hollywood's booming naval spectacles, Above Us, The Waves succeeds through understatement. It's less about action and more about patience, endurance, and faith in fragile technology. The climactic sequence, filmed in near darkness, captures the claustrophobia so vividly that even modern viewers find themselves holding their breath. The film was a massive hit in Britain, praised for technical accuracy and human emotion. Critics called it the thinking man's war film, respectful, taut, and genuinely thrilling. It remains essential viewing for anyone who believes true heroism comes not from noise, but from nerve. Number 1. The Enemy Below, 1957. You might think we covered this one in Part 1. And yes, we did. But its influence is too monumental to ignore in the encore. Robert Mitchum and Kurt Jürgens face off once again in this masterclass of psychological warfare. And it deserves another salute, because its DNA runs through every naval movie that followed. 2 captains, 1 American and 1 German, circle each other in the South Atlantic, both professional, both weary, both human. The film's brilliance lies in that equality. No villains, no propaganda, just 2 commanders trapped in a moral stalemate beneath the waves. Director Dick Powell, known mostly for acting before this, used handheld cameras and hydraulic subsets to create a sense of realism years ahead of its time. Its technical innovations were astonishing. The underwater photography, sound, editing, and ship-to-ship tension set new standards. The film even won an Oscar for special effects, rare for a modestly budgeted war picture. But beyond the craft, it's the humanity that sticks. Mitchum's quiet decency, Jürgens's weary honor. It's war without hate. Decades later, The Enemy Below inspired Star Trek's space battles, Crimson Tide's tension, and countless tactical thrillers. It's more than a film. It's the playbook of how to tell a story about rivals who respect each other, even as they try to survive. In short, the sea doesn't care who wins, only who endures. So there you have it, 15 more voyages across storm, fear, and fire. From the haunted depths of Below to the icy patience of Above Us, The Waves, these films prove that the sea is never just background. It's a character, ruthless and magnificent. Which of these would you brave first? Drop your pick in the comments. Subscribe for more cinematic deep dives, and remember, courage isn't loud. Sometimes it just sounds like the ocean holding its breath.